Monday, October 4, 7 p.m. If we're going to just how we're going to pledge allegiance first, and can you do our prayer? Thank you, and all Jack Young, the alderman, and Jack Young will take care of our prayer. Thank you very much.
Please stand with me. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, this beautiful weather you've given us, God. I thank you for the opportunity we have here to do the city's business, God. I pray that you would give us wisdom and be with those that couldn't be with us this evening for whatever reason. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Jack. If you'll take a head count, please. Call a roll.
Casper Briggs.
Here.
Jake Hoffman. Absent. John Conroy.
Here.
Paul Kaiser.
Yeah, here.
Jim Lamb.
Here.
Curtis Sigler. Alderman Young.
Here.
And Mandy Young. Here.
Thank you, Leslie. And has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? If you have, I'll entertain a motion. Chair entertains the motion for minutes.
Move approval.
Got a first, got a second?
Second.
Got a first and a second. If you'll call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mandy Young.
Yes.
Alderman Young.
Yes.
Mr. Lamb.
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser.
Pass.
Mr. Conroy.
Yes.
And Casper Briggs.
Yes.
Thank you, Leslie. Moving on, we have a new business tonight. We have a public hearing for a special use permit, truck and trailer rental. Kim, would you introduce that for us, please?
Mr. Wythe Rhett with Southern Air Properties is requesting Planning Commission approval of a favorable recommendation for a special use permit to allow a truck and trailer rental facility use. The subject property is located on a vacant lot at the northwest corner of Summer Avenue and Alturia Road, and it is located within the CH Highway Business Zoning District. According to Article 5, Chart 1 of the Bartlett Zoning Ordinance, a special use permit is required in the CH Highway Business Zoning District to operate a truck and trailer rental business. The surrounding zoning districts are RE, Single Family Residential to the north, and CH Highway Business to the south, east, and west. The surrounding uses include residential, a church, self-storage facility, a fitness gym, day spa, salon, and restaurants. Staff has reviewed this application and recommend approval of a favorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen with the conditions as listed in this report.
Any questions for the commission before the applicant comes forward? Is the applicant present? Is the applicant for this present? Would you come please forward, please, and state your name and address for record, please?
Sorry.
Would you come forward and please state your name and address for record, please?
I'm Mark Hawks, architect from Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah, we'll have a public hearing here. We'll have a for and against sections. This is a good time to kind of introduce yourself and your project and whatever you'd like to say before we have the public hearing.
Well, I appreciate the approval, or at least the gesture. And it's for Sunbelt Rentals, and they've done multiples of these buildings in many states. They're really nice for what they are, and good clients, take good care of their properties.
We thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hawks, could you give us your address? Your address.
Okay, you're talking, see. 6 Wildwood, one word, Jackson, Tennessee, 38301.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Anything else?
Maybe in a moment. We'll have a public hearing first. Thank you, sir. So at this point, we're going to have a public hearing. Anybody that is for this project, for the truck and trailer rental use, please come forward. Anybody that's for this? Seeing none. Anybody wants to come forward against the proposed? Seeing none. That closes the public hearing for this.
Chairman Kaiser, we have received no email or phone calls concerning this.
Okay, please. Thank you. Would you like to read those in the record?
We have received none.
No, received none. I'm sorry. My hearing aid's acting up tonight. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have received also no correspondence for that. Any questions from the commissioners for Kim or the applicant?
Is the applicant in agreement with the conditions?
That's a good question. Yeah, the applicant is in agreement with conditions of staff. He so states. Good question. Any other questions?
There are no other questions or comments. I move we approve with the recommendations from staff.
Second.
I got a first and a second. Melissa, you'll call the vote there, please.
Yes, sir. Jim Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
And Ms. Young?
Yes.
Application approved. We appreciate your application. Thank you. Good luck to you.
I would like to...
Sure, you may approach to speak.
Sir?
Yeah, you may speak.
I would like to say I appreciate everybody in the building department, planning department, engineering. Everybody's been very courteous.
They are great. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Subdivision construction plan. Kim, if you'll come forward and introduce that for us.
Okay, then he didn't come in.
Mr. Keith Moore with Carlson Consulting Engineers is requesting Planning Commission approval for construction plans for the Carriage House at Harrington Crete Subdivision Phase 2. The subject property is located on the west side of Bartlett Boulevard at Vinson Drive and is located within the RTH, that is Town Home Residential Zoning District. The construction plans for Phase 2 of the proposed project is part of a zero-lot line development for a 40-lot unit townhome residential subdivision on 16.97 acres of land. Phase 2 of the subdivision will consist of 24 residential lots or units. The construction plans for the subdivision include the following: tree plans, grading and drainage plans, erosion control plans, sanitary sewer plans, landscape plans, and common open space amenity plans. Staff has reviewed this application and recommend approval with the conditions as listed in this report.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions for Kim before we call the applicant? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Would you please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, thank you. I'm Keith Moore with Carlson Consulting Engineers. We're located at 7068 Ledgestone Commons here in Bartlett.
Thank you. Would you like to speak for your application?
Yes, sure. Yes, sir. This is, I guess, like Kim said, Phase 2 of the Harrington Creek townhouse development. Like so, we came through with the Phase 1 construction plans at a previous meeting. So this is just a follow-up to that. It's same houses, really same thing. Just it's all the proposed houses. The 6 quadplexes south of the proposed entrance drive is what's being proposed for tonight. We just wanted to break that out into 2 separate phases. I will go ahead and say, as far as the conditions go, we have no objections to them. There was just one that I want to, I guess, provide some clarification on based on follow-up conversations with staff. To the planning condition number 3, It's about extending the 4-foot rail fence the entire length of the property. The reason for that, as my understanding is the staff wanted to provide a buffer between the slope where Bartlett Boulevard crosses over the railroad tracks. There's a existing slope there, and I guess there's been a history of people sledding down it in the wintertime when snow's on it, because it's a good sledding hill. It is what it is. So since we're placing ponds down there at the bottom of that, there are some safety concerns with that, so they wanted to provide a buffer in that area. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to try. We have it's at least a 30-foot wide strip in there. We're going to look at putting some berms and landscaping in instead of extending that fence all the way down. Just truthfully, because we see a split rail fence or a 4-3 rail fence like what we're proposing here, 4 up there at the entrance. It really kind of serves two purposes. One being to keep livestock or something like that, contained, and the other is for aesthetics. And placing that fence down at the bottom of that slope where it's out of sight, it's obviously not holding, any animals or anything in, and so it really serves no real purpose. So we think the intent of that buffer is better served by landscaping or berms or something along those lines. And I think staff, I'll let them speak for it. I believe they're in agreement with that as well. But other than that, I have no other comments.
Thank you.
This issue came up at the DRC meeting, and we had a brief conversation about it at that meeting where the Design Review Commission cannot reverse the approval of the Planning Commission. And also, that particular condition was with the master plan and not with the final plan. And I believe Ed confirmed at that meeting that he would have to go back and amend the master plan for the development to actually get your approval to remove that condition.
So the original condition would stand. So the master plan is this master plan. We can't change that. Is that correct?
The master plan is the master plan for the entire development.
Okay.
The fence is actually a part of the entire development. It would be, they have a front entrance feature at the driveway that it's brick, and then at a certain point they were going to have the split rail fence style. It's a smooth rail fence really. And then we had added a condition to extend that down to the south end of the property, not necessarily down low, but up high, along with the landscaping as an additional barrier from the sidewalk area down to the pond. And the applicant would like to remove that requirement. So I'm not sure that you can change that requirement at this point, because this is a final plan phase 2 of the master, the master plan is phase 1 and 2. So that's the direction that we were going with this, that he would have to amend it at the master plan level because it was an original master plan condition. If something else changes based on our attorney's opinion, if he would let us know that at this point, Now, we do have a conjunctive request for the site plan as well for phase 1. For the final plan for phase 1 included with this in this packet tonight. So I don't know if you can consider removing that condition from both tonight, but again, at the Design Review Commission meeting, our city attorney here recommended that condition be removed at the master plan level, which would mean the applicant would have to come back with the revised master plan, removing the condition for the additional fence.
Okay, I'm not really sure which way to proceed here. Should we move on to the next item and y'all have to do a sidebar while we go to the next item, or?
But you had a sidebar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the intent of that condition was, Rick and I were discussing the hill and those ponds at the bottom, and that there was a need for a barrier of some sort, so that way we wouldn't get into a situation to where the developer, the HOA, the city would be held liable for somebody sliding down and ending up in those ponds. And so we needed to have some sort of a barrier or a buffer or some sort of detriment to prevent from sledding down and ending up in those ponds. Now, what staff came up with was, all right, let's just extend the fence. However, if there was some other alternate type of berm or divide that could act as that, then we would be open to that as well. But what we need to have in that condition is some sort of a barrier to separate the hill from the ponds.
I think what he mentioned, the applicant can speak for himself, but something he mentioned landscaping or something like that. That doesn't seem like that's going to make that. Doesn't seem like that's going to keep anybody from sliding in the pond.
Was a berm with landscaping, would that be something that we were looking for?
It seems to me that a berm might create a great jumping off spot for a sled as it came down the hill. So I would think from a safety standpoint, if that's our intent, which I believe it is, something would have to supplement that berm other than just a place to come down and then shoot up.
Yeah, that was what Sam and I had discussed, was the concern of people coming off. And as anyone's been around here a long time, when you've gotten to snow, you have quite a few people that are sledding down that side of the berm section, back down in and out into the flat area that's back in over there. And we had just a very brief discussion about that particular issue and whether there needed to be some barrier. And Sam and them said, well, let's just extend the fence down that area, and that's certainly one way to do it. Just a berm, as you say, provide a good place to jump up and kind of do some ski jumps or whatever it is. But maybe a combination of a berm and landscaping, trees or some other type of a vegetation that would provide a barrier between there I think would probably serve that one, but it'd have to be looked at and brought back either to planning if need to at the master plan level, or showing what's going to be done there rather than the fence construction. I'm okay with that if we can come up with something that'll work.
What our intent is some sort of combination of those items to get that, feel that we provided a safe means or barrier in there. Like I said, in some areas we have because there's a sanitary sewer line running through there, so we had to stay outside of that easement. So we've got at least a 30-foot wide just flat area there. So there's definitely things that can be done in it, but there's other areas where it is a little tighter, where we will need to do probably a combination of a few different items to make that work. So yeah, we're willing to work with staff, like I said, between landscaping, berm, fencing, something along those lines to create that buffer or barrier that they're looking for.
Yeah, they should come back to planning as a master plan change.
It depends. We'll see how much of the master plan change from the fence.
Amend the master plan.
Excuse me?
I think you have to amend the master plan.
The master plan will still need to go back before you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't feel comfortable approving something if you're saying you need to look at it first, and see if it even meets standards. So I would feel more comfortable if y'all looked at it, approved it from your side, and then brought it back to us.
Okay.
Keith, is that acceptable to you to put together a planting or berm and planting or whatever you're proposing and bring it to staff, let them look at it, and then bring it back to Planning Commission so that y'all could see what the solution was?
I'm fine with what they're saying, just,
Sure, you want to see what you're approving before you approve
exactly.
it. Okay, so it'd be like just a simple exhibit showing that area as opposed to a full master plan approval, so we can amend a past approval. Is that what we're...
Does that work for everyone else?
I mean, it would have to, I mean, if it's a berm, you need some sort of elevation.
Yeah, we'll get grades on there. Like some cut sections or something.
You're probably going to need, you're going to need at least one revised plan sheet to show all this. Okay.
Yep.
And then some sort of graphic.
Writing some details maybe.
So that they can see what it's going to look like when it gets out there. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So does that require some sort of motion?
Yeah, I believe that's what I was going at. So
I would
we
love
wanted
to make that
deferral
motion
for 30
if I knew
days, or
what
where
it
are we
was.
at on this? Can somebody speak to that? Are we going to defer it for 30 days, or how's this going to work?
We're going to approve this based on a future modification of the master plan. And I move that.
Okay. Okay, we got first and a second. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
And Mandy Young?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's been approved. Thank you. Moving on, we have a convenience store at the northeast corner of Germantown Road. Kim, if you'll introduce that application.
A representative with the Renaissance Group is requesting Planning Commission approval of revised construction plans for the Amen Devji convenience store subdivision. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Highway 70 and North Germantown Road, and it is located within the SC1 Plan Unit Commercial Zoning District. This project has been brought to you before, back in 2018, and then again it was also brought to you in earlier this year, 2021, under a different name. Since then, the developers have changed hands with this development, and the plans have been slightly changed, not by much. So the specific request to you for you tonight is approval of these revised construction plans, and it is to subdivide a 2.16 acre lot from an existing 10.44 acre lot, and it's to turn it into a 2-lot commercial subdivision, with lot 1 being 1.43 acres, and it would be the location for a proposed gas station with a convenience store and an attached retail center. And then lot 2 will be 0.72 acres. Access to both lots will be from a curb cut off of Highway 70 and off of Germantown Road. Lot 2 of this subdivision will be a non-buildable stream buffer conservation easement. The construction plans for this subdivision include tree plans, grading and drainage plans, erosion control plans, sanitary sewer plans, street plans, and profiles. With that being said, staff has reviewed this application and recommend approval with conditions.
Thank you, Kim. Is the applicant present? Could you please come forward, state your name and address the record, please.
My name is Clint Baker with Renaissance Group, 9700 Village Circle, Lakeland, Tennessee.
Thank you.
And I'm here on behalf of Mr. Wesley Woldridge. He had another Planning Commission meeting tonight. So really the intent of this project is to comply with what was approved in April. I know that the building has changed slightly. It's been reduced slightly in size. I think some of the drives have been adjusted slightly, but overall it is what you approved in April.
Well, the one question I had on there, I think we had a question about getting gas in and out of there. Was the semi going to be able to get in and out of there? Has that been corrected? Do we think that's going to happen now?
From what I know, when this went through back in April, that had been addressed. I know it had gone back and forth several times with the engineering, and so, ma'am. Yeah.
Good.
So
I think that was going to be a real issue. cost and everything else for the gasoline, so that's good.
Yes.
Glad to hear that.
But I will say I am a little limited on my knowledge of this job.
Okay.
But I can attempt,
Sure.
answer any questions if you
We
need.
appreciate your coming, being here.
Okay.
Any questions for the applicant or Kim before we proceed?
Again, is the applicant okay with the conditions that have been established?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing
I
none?
move we approve.
Okay, got a first. Any second?
A second.
Not sure who got the second. Okay. If you'll call the roll, we get a moment, Leslie.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
And Mr. Briggs?
Yes. I think the construction plan has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving on to the final plan, I think we're going to wait on the final plan, Kim, or how's this? We're just going to wait on the final plan next time, or how are we going to do that?
No, this is the final plan application for Phase 1. So you just did the construction plans for Phase 2. This is for Phase 1.
I see. Thank you.
Mr. Keith Moore with Carlson Consulting Engineers is requesting Planning Commission approval of the final plan for the carriage houses at Harrington Creek Subdivision, Phase 1. The subject property is located on the west side of Bartlett Boulevard at Vinson Drive within the RTH, that is Townhome Residential Zoning District. The final plan for Phase 1 is part of the proposed subdivision to generate a zero-lot line development for 40 lots/unit townhomes on 16.97 acres of land. Phase 1 of the subdivision will consist of 16 lots. Lot sizes will range from 1,478 square feet to 1,808 square feet, based on the size of the townhouse units, which require a form of ownership of the dwelling units, improvements, and common open space. Amenities of the development will include a paved walking trail, stormwater detention ponds, a floodway mitigation improvements along Harrington Creek. Access to the subdivision will be from Bartlett Boulevard, utilizing a proposed curb cut and private access drive. Staff has reviewed this project and recommends approval with the conditions as listed in your report.
Thank you. Any questions for Kim before we call the applicant?
Yeah, just one, and obviously this is a little late in the game for me to be asking this, but if Phase 2 never happened, are we happy with just Phase 1 as it's being proposed?
Are we happy?
I mean, does it? If Phase 2 didn't happen, is this? Do we see any problems with the development as just a Phase 1?
Well, I guess if Phase 1 never got completed, it depends on what would happen with their development contract and whatever infrastructure improvements. I guess they would have to finish out all of the detention and dealing with the flood area. So I suspect if all of that was in place, along with the amenities and the fence and landscaping, I would think that would probably be okay, but I would let engineering speak to any other issues that they would find with that.
One of the biggest concerns was obviously the flood level, and all the grading work for Phase 1 and Phase 2 is going to be done with Phase 1. So if Phase 2 was never done, all of the grading and drainage to control the flooding is already done in Phase 1 and would be there. And of course the infrastructure for Phase 1, the water and sewer and storm drainage will be put in Phase 1 as well. So I think the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Who please come forward? Just state your name and address the record. And
Keith Moore with Carlson Consulting Engineers, 7068 Ledgestone Commons, Bartlett, Tennessee.
have you read and agree with the conditions of staff?
Yes, sir. There's still the same comment, number 3, on the planning conditions about extending the fence, but other than that, no issues.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Let me ask a question about flooding.
Yes, sir.
We've seen what happens up in Waverly, Tennessee. I mean, a flood is possible. Would this be a standard, what I'd say, condominium deal that from the studs in or the brick outside wall, that all belongs to the homeowner, and it would be their responsibility to fix it if it flooded, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? See none, do I hear a motion?
I move we approve with the recommendations from staff.
Second.
A first and a second. Let's see you call roll.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
And Mandy Young?
Yes.
Final plan's been approved. Thank you. And the next is we have a site plan. Kim, if you'll bring that forward for the convenience store, gas station.
Again, the rep with the Renaissance Group is here tonight requesting Planning Commission approval of a revised site plan for a new gas station with a convenience store and retail center. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of Highway 70 and North Germantown Road, and it is also located within the SC1 Planned Unit Commercial Zoning District. The proposed gas station will have a new 4,200 square foot convenience store and parking lot, 5 new pump islands, an underground storage tank, fuel tank, and as well as additional landscaping and other amenities. Oh, and as well as a 1,500 square foot attached retail center. Will probably be just one bay. Access to the site will be from Highway 70 and a curb cut off of Germantown Road. Other features of this development include a streetscape landscape buffer and 2 stormwater detention basins. Lot 2, again, of this development will be a stream buffer conservation easement. Other site details are listed in your report in the site data table. Staff has reviewed this project, and we recommend approval of this project with the conditions as listed in the report.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kim? See none. Thank you, Kim. Is the applicant present? Would you like to come forward, state your name and address for record? Have you read the conditions for staff, and do you approve of those?
Clint Baker, Renaissance Group, 9700 Village Circle, Lakeland, Tennessee.
Thank you. Have you read and agree with the conditions of staff?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions for the commissioners, for staff, for Kim or the applicant?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Okay.
The piece we approved earlier talks about a 3-tenant retail area. All right, and this one talks about 1,500 square feet retail area. Are we talking about the same space there?
I know that the building has changed somewhat, and it is smaller, and I'm not exactly sure where that change occurred, if that is in the retail area or not.
And maybe I don't know enough about retail. 1,500 square feet.
The director can help you with that.
All for 3-tenant retail.
So I believe the original plans, and it probably got carried over to this report, was for 3-tenant retail. But, we had the issues with the truck being able to circulate, and we talked about that. And so with the site plan then, they reduced the size of the building and made the drive aisles wider. So that's why it's only a 1,500 square foot bay for this site plan.
And it's as many tenants, I mean, if they can fit two, it'd be two. If there's only one, they'd fit one.
Right. They could possibly put a wall in between at some point, which would just be a trip to Code Enforcement Building Division to do a tenant finish to split that 1,500 square feet into two tenants or more for really tiny bays.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim. Any other questions? Seeing none, do I hear a motion?
Move we approve.
First. Do we have a second? If you'll call roll, Kim.
Yes, sir.
Leslie, sorry.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman? No, not here. Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
And Mandy Young?
Yes.
Thank you, Leslie. Your site plan is approved. Thank you very much. Good luck. Okay, and the next thing up is Higginbotham Dental Group. Kim, if you'll introduce that, please.
Mr. Brian Adams of the Savage Construction Company is seeking Planning Commission approval of a site plan for Lot 2 of the Summer Knoll Subdivision. The subject property is located at 6634 Summer Knoll Circle within the SC1 Plan Unit Commercial Development Zoning District. The applicant tonight is proposing to construct a 4,600 square foot office building on Lot 2 of the Summer Knoll subdivision for a dental office. Access to the lot will be from Summer Knoll Circle. The specifics of the site plan are listed in the site data table within your report. Staff has reviewed this application and recommends approval with the conditions as listed in your report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Director, Kim? Seeing none, thank you, Kim. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Taylor Webb, 1355 Linfield, Memphis, Tennessee. Byron. I'm the civil engineer on the project. Byron was feeling unwell and had a temperature, and you don't fool with that these day and age. So I might be more equipped to answer questions for you. So.
And have you read the conditions of staff? You know the agreement of those.
The pretty boilerplate. The only thing I think it was go before design review, SWIP if necessary. Those items. The only thing that I had a question about, and I'm showing 18-foot. 19-foot parking stalls with a 24-foot drive aisle. I believe it's Article 6 and the ordinances have it as a 20-foot with a 22-foot drive aisle. So it's the aggregate is 62 feet, which is the required distance. And the only reason I went that way is to match the existing drive aisles that are out there, and also to maintain the fidelity of the 24-foot cross-access easement that was issued as part of the original subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah, and the punchline is, can I do the 19-foot with the 24-foot drive aisle, as opposed to 20-foot with the 22-foot drive, a larger drive aisle and a slightly shallower parking.
Okay, so you prefer it that way as opposed to what's on the plan now?
That's what I'm showing on the plan now. Is the 19-foot, and that was one of the conditions, was to revise it.
Okay.
Have I made it completely complicated?
No. I think what he's saying is our ordinance requires 19 by 20 parking stalls with a 22-foot wide drive aisle. And what he's saying he prefers, as he's drawn on the plans, is the 19-foot drive aisle. instead of the 20 that we have in our ordinance, 19-foot parking space aisle with a 24-foot wide drive aisle versus the 22-foot wide drive aisle. And I suppose in this case, because he is offering up a 24-foot drive aisle with a 19-foot stall, because of the subdivision already having 24-foot wide drive aisles, that would be up to you all to follow what the original subdivision plat showed or not, and go with the zoning ordinance. And again, the zoning ordinance is a 9 by 20 foot long parking space with a 22-foot wide drive aisle. Did I lose anybody?
Just to be clear. So what you have proposed is what you want.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is on the plat now is what you want. So
Correct.
Okay, so if ever, I'm sorry, Mandy?
But that's not what the zoning ordinance is technically.
Correct.
Okay.
Will it match what's already there?
It'll match the existing developed lots in this subdivision.
So what's
And again,
already
it's the same
there is
amount
not
of
in
pavement.
compliance.
It's just 1 foot less length of striping, which could fade over the years. But the pavement's there, and that's the more crucial.
Can I say this? So the Planning Commission approved the plat. So it's not like you're going against anything either way. And in other circumstances, we've gone along with what the plat has. So the choice is yours, to approve it as is or to approve it the way the zoning ordinance lays it out.
Okay, any discussion or questions from commissioners?
No, I move we approve it as is.
Second.
Second, thank you. Leslie, go call the roll, please.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Alderman Young?
Yes.
And Mandy Young?
Yes.
Site plan is approved. We thank you. And that concludes our meeting tonight. Thank you for everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.